So hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. This is going to be a live Beyond the Rider series. If you don't know who this beautiful young lady next to me is, this is my wife, Katie. For those of you that follow the channel, especially in the earlier days, you've seen Kate on the channel. You may have known the infamous line from Kate during the live stream that will remain anonymous. I'm sure the people in the side comments will bring that up. And if you don't know it, hit
Drunk AF.
Yeah, I was going to say hit up Monkey. He knows the story. So this is going to be something a little bit different, something I wanted to do when you're talking about our ride story, our experiences riding as a couple, how that's changed our dynamic, as well as we have some big announcements to make that we're really excited to make. And so let's get into it, right? So you're here. Thanks for coming. I hope the flight in was easy.
I didn't have to go very far.
You have to go very far.
My dining room.
Your dining room. You're not supposed to ruin the illusion. You're supposed to tell everybody we spent all this money on a studio.
No. Dining room.
It's a dining room. It's a bit of a work in progress,
It
but
is.
we're excited to do this, and I appreciate you doing this. I know it's not your forte to be stuck in front of the camera. Katie's usually my camera person, which I appreciate. So we kind of wanted to do this to talk about our ride experience, how that's changed us, and things. But before we do that, who do we have to thank?
Thank you, Flannel Go.
Flannel Go was kind enough to send us these flannels. I have a really heavy-duty flannel that they make. They actually sent us several. Katie's got more of the lighter weight.
It's a traditional heavy flannel. It is a nice, thick, fleecy, substantial flannel. And it's nice and warm, and I love the color.
And I have more of their heavy-duty flannels. This is almost like wearing a jacket. So we've been really impressed with them. You're going to see these more on the channel, as well as in a future endeavor to be announced later in the show. But huge thanks to Flannel Go. It's been probably forever since they sent these. It was still really hot in New Jersey. But guys, thank you so much, and we've really been enjoying them. So let's get into it. So we met in a cocktail bar, right? When you were a waitress. I wish I could remember the song.
The singer in a smoky room.
Yeah. That smells bad.
Smell of wine and cheap perfume.
So we met
online.
We met online, and then
You ghosted me.
I ghosted you. Yeah, that's true. And you have to. I'm pretty sure you were just taken back by my rugged bikerness, of course.
Wait, what were we? A 46% match? Recently checked?
Never tell me the odds. Yeah, some of what we're telling you will be factual. Some of it might not be, but you can't fact check it anyway, so what the hell?
So the app that we were using was a swipe right if you like and a swipe left if you like, or if you don't like, or whatever it is, but it was only for special featured people. It wasn't the way the app worked as a regular whole. He was one of the special featured people that
my mom always told me how special
algorithm thought I might like.
How'd that work out for you?
Well, I mean, we are married, and we got married in less than a year.
Yeah, we did. It was we played chicken with the train on that one.
We did.
We don't fuck around on this.
I think we're the train, though.
We are the train. We are not the chicken. So we met. When did we meet? It was what? It was early spring, right?
March of 2014.
Okay, so we met in March 2014. And I want to say it was our third date that we went out for a ride, right?
Yes. But I don't remember. That was the one that was on the KLR. And it was to the winery. Yeah,
we did the loop. So the loop is what we refer to as we went through New Hope. We went up to Nockamixon State Park. And we stopped at Sandcastle Winery because, I got game. I know how to treat a girl. Now, I have to say, if you've never ridden a KLR 2 up, it's not exactly the best riding experience, but you were brave enough to jump on the back.
It was the second time I'd ever been on a motorcycle at all.
Oh, I thought it was your first.
It might have been at the time, but let's face it, my memory sucks. So I was actually on a motorcycle when I was a kid. A friend of my dad's had a Harley, and he took me around the block, and it wasn't a very big block. So it wasn't exactly a long ride. I didn't have a helmet or anything like that.
Okay.
So we couldn't go far or fast. But
okay. So that was probably, about a 60-mile ride?
No. That was probably an 80-mile ride, because was that the one I fell asleep on?
No. You're getting ahead of yourself. See, and you got to leave the viewers with some suspense. Rookie move. So we took the KLR out. We went to Sandcastle. Have to date the best picture of you and I together. I'll have to put that up. That's absolutely by far my favorite picture of us. And we went out. We did that ride. And then did we do a second ride on the KLR? I don't think we did.
No, because I want to say the next week you decided to trade it in and get the Suzuki.
Yeah, so I had a Suzuki. I'm sorry, had the KLR. I've been looking at a Suzuki 1500 Intruder at my local Suzuki dealer for, it's probably like a year. It was on consignment, and every time I go in there, I'd look at it. And I went to get I think the oil changed on the KLR. And I had saw the bike and was talking to one of the sales guys, and he's like, we're going to take it off. They're going to take it back out of consignment. So if you really are interested, you should make a deal. And so the oil change cost me a lot more money than I expected. But it was really funny, right? Because you had spent the night. So I came back.
I was asleep.
Yeah, Kate's asleep. I wake her up and I'm like, hey, get dressed and come outside. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, just get dressed and come outside. And if I remember correctly, your comment was, my butt loves this bike, buy it.
Yeah. Because he was test riding it at that point. He hadn't even made the final decision. He was like, I want to bring this to you, let you see how you like it, because at the end of the day, the ultimate goal is to get you on the back of the bike. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, because he knew at that point where, as crazy as it sounds, even just a short period of time I knew you had been around a while, and let's face it, if we were going to ride, we weren't going to be riding that KLR everywhere.
No.
We could have, but
no. No.
So I bought the Intruder 1500. We came home. I came home with dealership, and much to your dismay, it didn't have a backrest, so we had to wait to get a backrest for it. Yes,
I was not really crazy about the idea of my butt sliding off the back at all.
So we got the small backrest, which you thought was adequate, which was a mistake, but we should have got you a bigger backrest.
It just stopped me from sliding off the back.
And that was, I think, I realized it was Mother's Day. So Mother's Day of that year, we went out on the Intruder, and we did, I want to say it was like...
That was the 80-mile.
No, I think it was longer than that, wasn't it?
No, it was like maybe 86. It was in the 80s, because I remember you telling me afterwards... And you were like, that might have been too much of a ride because I hadn't been on the bike enough to build up to that.
Yeah.
And I was hurting.
Yeah, so we wound up going to the Poconos. We rode up to the Poconos. We stopped at this really cool dive sort of biker bar. We had lunch. Another picture I have. You know what? I have that picture that shows what the actual mileage of the odometer and has the banana shots that we did at Dog and Bull afterwards. So we did that, and... it was odd. My bike stopped steering at some point during that ride. Why was that, Kate?
Right after the water gap. Coming back on River Road, the big sweeper. I don't know if everybody knows what that is.
It's the big sweeper at the main observation point of the Delaware River Gap.
Yes. I was zenning out, trying to... make it through this ride because I was not going to be that girl who couldn't handle it. And so I'm sitting there and I'm zenning the pain away. I'm like, I'm going to breathe through this. I'm going to focus. I'm going to focus on not focusing on the pain. And then I fell asleep.
That you did. So I hadn't had the Suzuki that long. We're going through this big sweeper. The bike's not turning. I can't figure it. Like, the bike just doesn't want to go the way it would normally fall over. And I'm like, I hit her on the leg and I feel this like jarring. And I was like, oh shit, she's asleep.
Yes. I did not want to be that girl, but no, I ended up being that girl.
I mean, you wound up getting a ring out of it. So I guess you didn't do too bad in the house and everything else. But, yes, that was our first big ride. And I can remember, we went to Dog and Bull. We got our banana shots or whatever they were. And I can remember you being like, oh my God. But we did it, right?
But we did it. Yes. And it was a great day because I had never been to the River Gap. And quite frankly, it's a little old now because we've done it so many times, but that loop is very scenic when you're going up and down River Road. And it's just a nice, slow ride, and there's a lot to look at. And there's animals, and there's houses, and there's all kinds of river and stuff.
Well, that's probably why they call it River Road.
Yes, well. And then there's the canals, and then there's the sheer, like, the big, what do you call them? The big cliffs.
And then we have Harley the cat, who apparently now is part of the podcast. But anyway, Miss Thang herself.
Yes. She likes to make her cameo appearances.
Get down. So we did that, and then we went, trying to think, what did we do after that? That's what I'm saying. She's going to be an absolute pain in the ass.
I'm going to have to get the spray can and just...
Okay. Get down, knucklehead. But we had, so we did that, and then we did.
You want me to get the spray can?
No. So we did that ride to the River Gap, and then we did a bunch of rides since then, and then we did what?
Hey, back to us talking.
All right, so now that the cat has interrupted the show, and we had to take a pause for a quick cat discipline break, we are back. So we had the intruder. We went through the River Gap. Mm-hmm. Where else did we go with that bike? I'm trying to think. So we did our first group ride, right? We did the police ride.
Did the police ride for the first time. That was fun.
That was the rain ride, right? The first ride was the time it rained. Remember, there was only like 40 bikes, not even that.
No, the first one was the one where your mother was videotaping at the end or at the beginning, and it was sunny, that one, but it was still small.
It was after it rained. Remember, because it was rain delayed. That's right. It was rain delayed, and that's when the cop dumped the bike in New Hope.
Oh, that's right. But by the time we got back, it was nice and sunny. Okay, yes.
So, and then that was also the one where we pulled over and we got separated from the pack, and I lived out my Chips fantasy with the cop with the lights and sirens, and we were tearing it up to catch up with the group. That was a lot of fun. That's when I realized I needed more bike. I could not keep up with that bike. That police bike was quick.
It was quick.
So we did that. That was our first group ride. I had ran into some friends I went to high school with. We did that. What else did we do?
Oh, what haven't we done? We've done...
Well, I'm saying just with that bike, though.
Oh, with that bike. We went to the beach on that bike at least once, right?
Okay.
We did a
lot of riding through the Pine Barrens and stuff.
On that one?
Yeah,
or did we do that when we moved here? Because we got the other one in 2018.
Yeah, but we did. I don't know. It's weird.
I think we stuck in PA most of the Suzuki life. I call it the Suzuki life. Yeah.
Yeah, because we seem to have done just that loop because it wasn't a super comfortable bike, and it's weird for small. Well, not small, but that bike was a lot harder to ride than the newer bikes that we had.
Yes. Yeah, I think.
It had those really wide, chunky tires to it, and the rake of it was really weird. But yeah, we spent a decent enough time on that.
Yes,
bike.
And then we moved here, and that's when we started doing the rides out to the Pine Barrens. We went to the shore Atlantic City. Yeah. Yes, and then shortly after that, we got the new bike.
So we had that bike for what, a year or two, maybe a little longer.
So you got it in 2014.
Okay.
And we got the other one in 2018.
Okay, so we had it for 4 years. We rode we rode it a lot. I wouldn't say we rode it a ton. We
didn't do it far.
We did a lot of well, you weren't. It wasn't comfortable for you. And then we had the ill-fated ride. We were out riding one day, and we came home, and Kate got off the bike and about face planted.
My butt hurts so bad. That was a long ride, though, too.
Yeah, and I can honestly remember, no joke, I was like, she's done. Like, she's never getting on this bike again. And
I didn't.
Yeah, well, that's true. So the next day, you still weren't feeling that great. And you asked me what I was doing. I was like, I'm going to go down to Barb's. I really had wanted a road glide, and we've went into length about that in our relationship. I've always wanted a road glide, even pre-Rushmore. And, but they were still too expensive because there wasn't a lot of them out there.
No,
not like it is now. So we bought the...
People did not like that bike.
It's ugly. Now they're trying to make, now everybody wants one.
Right. But
we'll get to
before,
that though.
Yeah.
So I was looking at the Batwings, the Street Glides, the Limiteds, and I was like, I'm going to go to Barb's and I'm going to take a look at, maybe they have a Limited or something to look at and a test ride because I've never ridden one. And this knucklehead was like, oh, I'll go with you because if I'm not feeling that great now, then,
what's the best way to test
a bike?
A bike when your butt hurts.
And I'll let you take it from there.
So we test rode a
2014 Limited.
Limited. Sorry, I get them a little mixed up
yeah.
still. So we did the Limited, and I loved it.
It was all of a 4-mile test ride.
Mm-hmm. Loved it. And
Oh, no. We need to back up before we get into that. In 2018, we were at Atlantic City Harley Davidson.
Oh, yeah. Mm.
That was the first time I'd ever ridden a Harley touring bike. They were nice enough to let us take out a Road Glide Limited. And
my butt hurt from the Suzuki.
yeah, so that's right, because we rode the Suzuki down to Atlantic City. We stopped there. The guy let us take out the Road Glide. I don't know how we didn't walk out with that one. That was a great ride. It was
too expensive.
Yeah,
So
it was
expensive.
way too expensive at the time. And it was great because the guy, we thought that the guy would take us around and show us like a short ride. And he basically handed me the keys and said, have at it. I said, well, Kate's on the bike with me. I'm a little uncomfortable with that first. He's like, I'll take it out, then come back, get her on the bike and have some fun. Man, that was eye-opening. I'd never ridden a bike that big. And that was,
and we went over the train tracks.
Remember, we went by the Naval Air Station that was
Mm-hmm.
down there, right? It was my little Top Gun moment.
Top Gun moment, yeah. And that was a really nice ride, and that was kind of the ride that set the bar of what we needed to get. That's where we needed to be. So then when we went to Barb's, we still were not in the right price range for a Road Glide.
Well, for a new one, we didn't have anywhere near the money for a new bike.
There was no used ones available at that point.
You're right, and the one they had was like $5-6 grand more.
Yes.
They only had one. Yeah. Okay.
So we're looking, and they had two different buildings, and Brian's looking, and I went into the other building just for giggles.
Shits and giggles. Say what you
Shits
want,
and
man. It's your
giggles.
show.
And I saw that there was some really nice gray ones that had like pinstriping, and there were some, there was obviously a lot of black ones. But most of them were gray, black, white. And I saw one, and it was low mileage. It was a reasonable price. It was what we were looking at in the showroom as a used one, but it was the one you were looking at was black.
Yeah.
The one that we test rode was black.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was like black with what, like 50,000 miles on it. It's pretty high miles.
But you were very much of the, I really don't want a black motorcycle. He really did not want a black motorcycle. The Suzuki was black. He was over the black thing. So I was like, well, I saw some in this other building. I'm like, why don't come with me and we'll go look. Maybe there's something in there that you would like. So we found the gray one.
We found the gray one. It was 2014 Limited. It had what, like really low miles, like 17,000 miles on it. It wasn't a lot.
Big fat fanny.
Yeah, the big girl herself. And it
it
didn't have any mods. It was fully stock minus the Reinhardts.
And it did not test ride well. I refused to leave without test riding it. Thankfully, girls, don't leave without test riding it. Not all bikes are the same. So
But in all fairness, it was the seat.
It was the seat, exactly. So we ended up twisting the arm of.
And isn't it weird though, because seats are such a personal thing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So get back to, but it made a difference. I think that was the
stock versus hammock, maybe.
No, it was stock versus the setback seat, whatever. It's not the reach, whatever they call it, the extended reach, maybe.
Ugh, the seat was horrible, and we didn't even get 100 feet from
yeah, and you were already
the
complaining.
driveway, and I'm like, this is not the same. This is just not the same. Nope. So we took it back. We didn't even do the test ride. We just rode right back, and we're like, this is not the same bike. There's something different. So then he looked at the the salesperson looked at the seat and he's like, it's got a different seat. And Brian's like, well, we want this bike, but we want that seat. And they did us a favor.
Do you remember though how much of a big deal we made? Oh,
Yes.
I don't know if I can change the seat, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, you can lose the sale for all I care.
That was the deal breaker.
If you're gonna lose a seat over a used, if you're gonna lose the bike over a used seat, that's on you, buddy.
Yes. But it made the sale. And we were in the other room looking at the bike, and this couple came up to us, which was really funny.
Wow, we weren't looking at the bike. At that point, we were arguing in the showroom.
Correct.
Bantering. Arguing's not the exact word. Bantering
about the bike, the gray one. You know, the differences, this, that, and the other. And this couple came up to us, and the guy goes, I forget, did he address me? Oh, he addressed me. And he's like, ma'am, you've got to let him buy the bike. It's worth it. And I'm like, what do you mean, let him buy the bike? I'm the one driving the sale.
No, I think your exact words were, I'm trying to get him to buy the fucking bike.
Okay. I'm driving the sale.
And the guy looks at me like I have three heads. And I wasn't, I wasn't prepared to buy a bike. It wasn't that. It just wasn't on my mind. It wasn't even on my radar.
We had just bought a house. Like it just wasn't.
Yeah. And we sat. It's funny, you know. And I thought about this. We bought our bike from Rufus Harley, which is last name, which that's kind of comical. And George bought his bike from Beggars and Brewers. Bought his bike from Rufus.
Oh, okay. Did not know that.
I didn't realize though. I saw George's video and I saw Rufus in it. I thought that was pretty cool. So we.
Hey Rufus, if you see this.
Yeah, right. So we purchased that bike, and going in, I guess, in a backstory, we were never Harley people, right? Because when Two Click bought his bike, we'd go in the dealership. We used to look, but it was always, you know, and I'm going to offend some people with this, but we were just not those people, right? Because at least in our area, and I know it's completely different. It's certainly different in different areas of Harley. But it was all, you know, we went to Stars and Stripes, and that's where we used to go all the time, or Brian's then. And, you know, it was always the older guys with their Harley shirts tucked in, and it was just an older crowd, and we didn't see ourselves as those people. We weren't branded people.
No.
But check out my flannel go. We were just not those people. So
the minute we bought the bike, you do the what is it, the poker chip thing?
Yes.
Poker, you have to go through the store and you get the cards and the poker run, whatever. It's like a mini poker run through the store. And I got my first branded piece of apparel.
No. You got a shirt.
I got a shirt.
They gave us each, we talked them, talked them into, you buy a $15,000 bike, you have to beg for a shirt, but they give us two shirts. Mm-hmm. They let you upgrade your shirt. Mm-hmm. And we're like, cool. You know, I bought it at Barb's shirt. You know, it's kind of cool. It's marketing.
Yep.
So we took a ride the next day, and we wound up going back to Atlantic City Harley Davidson, which is where we test rode the Road Glide, which I thought about every day until we bought that. And it's just a cool museum. They have a little museum in there. It's a cool little dealership, and we just needed somewhere to go. It was a destination ride. We rode. I don't know how long we rode that day, but it was a decent ride, especially on a new bike because we had never ridden. So we're getting ready to leave the dealership, and I'm on the bike. I'm starting it up, and I'm kind of getting comfortable, putting my gear on. And this chucklehead walks up with a Harley branded fleece on, and I was like, "You just became the person you said you'd never be."
I just like a lemming. I just decided to jump off the cliff and go with the group, and that's okay.
No,
I did like I still have that Harley fleece. I still enjoy wearing it, and
for us, I think it was that we didn't get it, right? I mean, I don't consider myself a Harley guy, but I absolutely loved both our bikes that we've had. I mean, they're hands down the best bikes that we've ever ridden.
Yes.
And for us too, because we had talked about traveling and wanting to do things, we wanted something that had a bigger dealer network.
Yes.
And as much as we like the F6B, if you aren't familiar with that, it's the old style Goldwing bagger.
Yes, you did like that. We did try the new one. We did go and
at Martin's.
Yep, and we sat on it, and I was just like, it's not the same.
We kind of kept coming back to the Harley platform, and so we walked out with that bike.
We did.
That changed everything, I think.
And we did quite a few runs to Atlantic City. We did some runs to, we did our loop a couple of times. We were going to places like York and
well, yeah, because once we started to get a feel for the bike, because we're very safety conscious, and I certainly didn't have experience on a bike that big, so we took our time. I had never done an overnight trip on a bike, and I always thought that would be like cool, and as corny as it sounds, I kind of wanted to do that with someone special, and I've done overnights by myself. I'd never done an overnight with someone else, and I always thought it'd be, it's kind of one of those like bucket list items, as silly as it sounds. So we took 3 days. We took the limited out. We went to the Harley factories during the pandemic, so everything was closed, of course.
Was that during? Oh, yes, it was. It was the very start of the pandemic.
Yeah, it was the very, very start.
Was that spring?
Because we rode a lot. Because remember, we went down to Wildwood, and it was like the zombie apocalypse. That was in the first weeks.
Yes, it was the first few weeks.
Yeah,
because they hadn't shut the gas stations were pretty much the only places you could get into. So what was there left for us to do? We couldn't go out to eat. We couldn't go out and hang out at a bar. We couldn't go to hotels.
I forgot about that.
As a rule, it was hard to
nothing
get
was open.
Yeah, the only thing we could do in those first few, month or two was ride.
Yeah,
gas was about all we could get, and that was the only place you could use a public restroom.
Yeah, I forgot about that because when we went to Wildwood, everything was closed.
Yes.
Especially in New Jersey. I mean, New Jersey panics like no other.
Not wrong.
People's Republic of New Jersey. Thanks, Governor Murphy. But hey, I said what I said.
Okay.
So we had gone out. We had ridden, and so we did that first ride. So that was what we went to York. Where did we go? We went to York, and then we went somewhere else. I'm trying to think. It wound up being 3 days. Then we finally went down to Maryland. We went down to the Conowinga Dam, and we rode back. That was a nice time. And that's where we found out how heavy a Harley is to pick up.
Oh, was it on that trip that it fell?
Yeah, we were in York, and we were coming out of I was starting the bike up, and we were coming out of the hotel, and I wanted to bring the bike around to put the luggage in it, and I didn't let it warm up, and I dropped it on the parking lot was like this, so the bike fell over upside, so it fell on the low side of the hill.
So it was a high hill, and it fell that way, and we had to try to pull it up, and it was on this weird incline, and it was steep. It was a steep incline. I don't know what you were thinking to park there. Lesson learned. And the whole handle came off.
That's when you pop the cap of the heated grips off.
Yeah.
Luckily, though,
we got it up.
It was only a thing. Yeah. Lesson learned. Don't try and lift the bike up that's fully loaded, and B, don't drop it.
Yeah.
But that was a lot of fun. I think it was that trip that really kind of sold us on the idea, because that was the trip. So Katie and I used to have this argument all the time. Katie would want a big touring bike, and I would tell her that the only way we were getting a big touring bike is if we could go through an entire tank of gas without getting off the bike. It had to be that comfortable.
That's right.
And I wish I could remember where it was, but we were ripping down because it was during COVID. There was nobody on the road. We were ripping down a turnpike, and I looked down, and it's the first time we've ever had it's not the first time I had a bike, but with a gauge, but it was the first time I had a bike that did the actual countdown of like how many miles you had left. And we blew by an exit ramp, and it said like the next town was like 40 miles away. And I looked down, and we had like 30 miles of gas left, or whatever it said. And Katie is like, "Gee, you're slowing down a lot. Why?" I'm like, "Oh no, we're good. We're nothing to worry about here. Nothing to see." And luckily, we found a gas station, stop, turnpike stop, a rest stop that had gas. So we didn't completely run out of gas. I think we had like 15 miles left or something. All I kept thinking was that would have been a shitty first trip.
You were oh shit in that moment.
Yeah, I was pretty sure I was calling a divorce lawyer at that point because you were going to kill me.
And then that was the gateway drug for the big trip. 13-day tour.
And actually
we did that in September of that year.
Yeah, and the Harley was really what based the whole channel on, right? Because we got it, we started doing installs, and that was really the sort of where we started. Because the Lancaster trip going back is the Hawk's Nest or Lancaster is the first video that's on that channel or on our channel. So I thought that was really cool to have captured that.
Hawk's Nest.
Yeah, so we went to the Hawk. We went a lot of places on that bike.
Yeah,
you know, and it really for us opened up the ability to, as I like to say, you could just point at a map and be like, "We're going there," right? We had the bike to do it, so why not?
Correct.
And that really was the purpose of it, right? It was not to have the bike limited just by old bones.
And we had bought.
Yeah. Okay.
So right before our September trip, which was 13 days, we bought rain gear.
How was that rain gear, by the way?
The day after we bought the rain gear, we decided to take a ride, and it rained, and we did not have the rain gear. It was sitting on our sofa, waiting to be put into the bike for the big trip. And meanwhile, it poured. It was torrential, and we were on the turnpike, and we had to stop. We were on the
turnpike up towards Phoenixville. Yeah,
we had to stop in an overpass in order to let the deluge. Oh, no. That was so that we could we stopped at the
We
turn.
stopped, which is probably the worst place in the world to stop.
But then we got back on, and we stopped at the Wawa and waited the rain out.
Yeah. So we have the comms on the bike, and I'm sitting Kate. I was like, we're going to pull over at this underpass and put our rain gear on. And all I hear is this, the rain gear's in the, it's on the sofa.
On the sofa, yes.
But
no rain gear.
No rain gear. But we that's right. Because we went to the Wawa, and people were looking at us because we were literally like, water was dripping out of our clothing.
Yes.
That was the ride that the cars are pulling over and we're going by them because it's like, it's not safe to be on the side of the road. So let's figure out a way to get off.
Yes.
But that was really what we bought because you found the Rick Rack that we got on that killer blowout deal.
Yes, we did. I love that Rick Rack. We're never getting rid of that.
Yeah, because that's when they had the, for lack of a better word, the scratch and dent sale. And you got it like half off or some crazy price. Yes. Yeah, it was really cheap. And, that thing was worth its weight in gold for the traveling. Yes. So we had, so that was sort of what we were getting ready for. I think it's when we got our chaps. Like we were just trying to get what we needed because we hadn't spent that much. We didn't spend that kind of time on the road. And then in September, that's one of the best bike memories we have.
So we started in New Jersey. We drove up.
We rode.
I'm sorry.
Say drove. They'll heckle you.
Sorry. So we rode up the Garden State Parkway.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Meanwhile, it's traffic like crazy for some reason. It
was the Garden
rush hour.
State. Yeah.
It was a rush hour because we were doing it on a weekday, and it was rush hour traffic, and we got stuck on the Garden State Parkway through that, and he's trying to manage the bike, and there's just cars everywhere. So because we had the comms, it's important to be able to communicate. Because we had the comms, I was able to use my highlighter yellow hand gloves, which I love.
Traffic back there.
And I'm directing traffic. I've got my highlighter yellow riding gear.
Yeah. Your Olympia jacket.
My Olympia jacket on. And it was overcast, and it was kind of funky that day. It wasn't like a bright, sunshiny morning. It was kind of not a great morning. And quite frankly, I was just making eye contact and telling those cars that we are going to be putting our bike right here. And it worked. We got through it.
I can just remember getting to, I think it's the New York State Thruway or whatever they call it, and just thinking, thank God we survived, because I've been on the Garden State Expressway in a car up towards where was it? But I had been in there and I hated it, and when I realized that that's where we were heading because we were using the nav, I was like, dear God, this is the day we die.
Yeah, that was a little stressful, that part. But
we made it, and then we went to where? Where did we stay the first night?
Albany.
Albany, New York.
Yes.
Yeah, so we
went to that little
That little hole in the wall brewery.
It
wasn't a hole in the wall. It was a really nice,
nice brewery, and it had like a deck that overlooked the river. And we checked into our hotel room. We went to dinner. We had a really nice evening. And then we got back on the bike the next morning.
But do you remember the why I was so pissed off that day? We got back on the bike, and we had started this thing because now we're Harley riders. We started collecting the poker chips, and
yes,
every dealership in that area was closed Sunday, Monday, some of them to Tuesday. So we had all these dealerships right in town where we were. Nothing was open. So where did we go? We left Albany and we went where? To Catskills?
Yes.
I'm trying to think. I can't remember.
Lake George.
So we went to Lake George. How'd that work out for you?
Note to self, riding gear is very important. And that's when I learned I was developing an allergy to wasps because I got stung by one on the bike. Yeah, that was not comfortable. Not at all. So
we were riding up towards Lake George, and
all you heard was me screaming.
Yeah, so we have the comms on the bike, and all I hear is this like ungodly screaming, and that's when I found out how fast ABS stops.
Yes.
So we stopped the bike. She's screaming on the back of the bike. She doesn't have a jacket on.
I wasn't screaming, but I was.
It was loud.
It was louder than my normal voice. I was like, because I was trying not to freak out, and you have to keep your balance, and it's not like I can just like open the door and roll out the car. There's nowhere for me to go.
And luckily, where we were, even though we were going pretty quick, it was a wide shoulder. So we pull off on the shoulder. And she literally like leaps off the bike, screaming, ripping, trying to figure out what's going on. And luckily, there was a group of bikers and there was a car. So it was really cool that they actually blocked the road off to make sure she was safe. And everybody pulled over. And
they got us to the gas station.
And the yellow jacket was like that big that hit you, right?
It was that big.
She's screaming off the bike. It's so big. It was like, oh my God, it's the biggest thing I've ever seen. It was like this big.
It actually was still attached to me when I got off of the bike, and it fell on the ground, and I looked at it. Well, it looked bigger in my mind when it was attached to me than it actually was, but yes. So that was that part of the trip. We went to
and that was great because the people that stopped were locals, and they were like, "Oh, you can go here and you can get Benadryl." Remember, you walked in that convenience store, and they were like, they were freaking out.
They were tripping over themselves to get me ice, which I appreciated because it was really hot that day, and it just So I had a big welt on my arm, and I didn't think anything of it because I've never been allergic to bugs.
Oh, I forgot all about this story.
So that we can continue our trip, and we go to.
I forget, but we were going towards like Lake Placid. I remember we weren't there yet, but I think it was really the top of it was the Adirondacks.
Yes, it was the Adirondacks. And did we get to Woodstock before or after the clinic? I think Woodstock was before the clinic.
Woodstock was before the clinic. So I want to say like Woodstock was one of the first days.
So we went to the Adirondacks, and then we drove down through the Catskills to Woodstock.
Yeah, that was an amazing ride that you laid out.
And he let me pick the ride.
Yeah, you got to put Kate in charge of navigation.
Yes, that was some huge like fun riding. And I just wanted him to go faster. I know we couldn't, but oh my gosh.
Yeah,
the sweepers.
this one
we had like 240-degree sweepers along this
Probably
river.
Not accurate. Don't believe that.
No, because they were like almost full circle. They weren't, but those were some really like big like turns, and it's just never. It was never ending. It was never ending turns, and we were along this river that was winding through the mountains. It was fantastic. No traffic. We get to Woodstock.
Did we do Woodstock proper, or did we do the fairgrounds first? I think we did the fairgrounds first.
Did the fairgrounds first, and then we went to Woodstock proper.
So Katie and I are both huge music fans. So going to Woodstock was really cool. There's something about that whole area, like the actual fairgrounds. It has a really great like vibe to it. It
it draws people.
Yeah, we'll get to that. It's got a really cool vibe to it, and it's really neat, and it sounds stupid, but if you're a history person, it was really cool to be somewhere and look and go, when you looked out on the fairgrounds, it looked exactly like it does in the movie because we were really there, but I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting it to feel exactly how it was of Woodstock. And we went the back way, which was really cool. So we went the back way up, and the navigation kept saying, you're coming up. And then all of a sudden it was like, boom, it's right there.
Right there.
And that was really cool. And tell them about your friend you made.
So this one decides that he's going to walk down the hill. So they have all of these like boards and history and all that stuff at the top.
They had like
hill.
a visitor board you could sign and a plaque and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Kind of picnic benches and stuff, tables. So we're sitting there, we ate. And then he decided that he wanted to go down for the religious experience. So he's down at the bottom of the hill.
All I'm going to say is, how many people do you know that ever was on the stage at Woodstock?
Correct.
Yes, the stage wasn't there, but it was the stage area. So
correct.
Just give it to me.
So he goes down to the bottom of the hill to do that part of it. I decided to stay up, and I was going to read some of the, the literature that's on these boards and blah, blah, blah. And there's this woman, very nice lady, much older, riding a scooter, in a dress.
Oh, she had to have a sundress on. It was Woodstock.
Well, yes, but then she decided to lay at the top of the hill and sun her hoo-ha. There's just no other words. She just decided to lift her dress and sun her hoo-ha. And I was just like, okay, we have jumped the shark.
I have to say, it was one of those experiences where I'm pretty sure it was like Field of Dreams, that she just crawled out of the cornfield, and it was interesting.
Yes.
But that was a really, for me being such a music fan, I know you are, but it was really cool. They actually have it it's not marked. I don't know how to explain it, but it's I don't know if it was rocks, but the stage is still there, at least the area it's there. So when you stand on the stage, it's the same exact spot the stage was. It's not a stage, it's just grass, but so when you look out, it's the same view that you see in the movie and the documentaries. It was just really cool. To me, that was one of the highlights of the trip. Yeah. And then we went to Downtown Woodstock, which is just another version of New Hope.
Yes. With a really cool ATM machine that you miss if you're not looking for it.
Oh, because it had all the stickers and
it looked like a little. It looked like a roadside attraction. It looked like a robot, and it was yellow with all of this eclectic stuff attached to the outside, and there were stickers, and there was this little ATM machine like sticker on the front of it, and it just kind of blended into the craziness of that particular little town.
I forgot about that. That's when we met. And there's a guy walking a full-size goat in the middle of Woodstock. Swear to God, I'll try and find the picture of it. He's got this full-size goat, and he's just walking it down the street.
On a leash with all the dogs. It was fun. And then
that little center of town where they're playing all the music and stuff. That's actually one of the earlier videos of the channel.
Yes. That trip was,
because we were doing that. And then, so we finally made it to Woodstock. Good night, Woodstock. And I got to say goodnight to Woodstock, which,
yeah.
got to play the stage.
Where did we go from there? That's where we dropped onto Route 6, and we were supposed to stay the night at the bed and breakfast. Note to self, when you're with somebody like this, reservations are not always a good thing.
So when I first started riding, I had a scooter, and I rode Route 6, and I stayed in a town called Towanda in this bed and breakfast in Towanda. It was really cool. It's a really small, all of them are old, like mill towns and things like that. So again, this is during the pandemic. So we pull into Towanda, what was it, like 6 o'clock at night?
I want to say it was like 7, and we had already decided not to go to our bed and breakfast. We decided that we were gonna skip on the bed and breakfast
Well, no, back up. We had reservations because you'd never been at a bed and breakfast.
Yes, we couldn't.
We're riding through
food.
town. There's not a single thing open.
No food, no restaurants, nothing.
For whatever reason, in the few years that it had been since I had been there, it was totally changed. It was like a ghost town. So the restaurant that I loved there was closed. Everything was shut down. So we just kept on, and we wound up staying.
Wellsboro. We ended up going straight to
no. We stayed at that hotel. So there was
It looked like something out of a Godfather movie. It was this very Romanesque type of hotel with columns and gold gilt, and it was so beat the hell up when you actually got in the room. But it was clean. It was a nice hotel.
The story that we found from the owner, remember that we were talking to, he was talking about the bike and stuff, that Central PA is known for fracking. And so that hotel only existed because of the contractors. They were going to close down during COVID, and the fracking company decided to just write them a check and rent all the rooms for the remainder of whatever period they needed to keep the hotel open. We stayed there, and we get there.
Men frackers are very, very hard on...
What the frack?
They're very hard on walls and furniture and carpets, just on everything. There were scuff marks and chips in the moldings and the floorboards, and it wasn't bad. It had been abused. There's no need for that abuse in a hotel room.
Diva. So
yes,
the best
I am a diva.
We were at the check-in booth, and we're like, look, we haven't eaten. We're on the road. And she's like, well, there's a restaurant open. We saw this Italian place that we went by. We came back to stop there. They weren't open anymore.
Nope.
And we wound up eating at some gas station that the entire time I'm waiting for our food, the guy's telling me how it's the worst place in the world to work, and he's going to quit. And it was just an absolute fiasco. It was probably the worst. And we stopped.
And the food was terrible.
Oh God, the food was terrible.
But we had to put something in our stomachs. So next morning we get up early. We're going to continue on to Wellsboro.
Yeah. So we've been there a couple of times. That's probably one of our favorite ride destinations. Wellsboro,
that was
Pennsylvania.
the first time we'd been there.
First time you'd been there.
First time I'd been there. Yes.
Yes.
And we had planned. We had reservations for scheduled events.
Yes. Yes.
We wanted to do is it Kissimmee? The Kissimmee Bridge? No, Kiwanza.
I can't think of the name. Anyway,
it's the broken bridge, the one that got hit by the tornado. We went and saw that one day, and this was our stop to do laundry as well. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, so we did the Kiwanza or whatever whatever that bridge is. We went back to the hotel. We went and had a nice steak dinner.
If you ever get to Wellsboro, Pennsylvania, there is a steak place. I don't know the name of it. Food is fantastic. The owner is a biker. Was very, very great to us. Sat and talked to us. The food was outstanding.
Service was incredible.
Yeah, and if you ever really want to see what I would say is like the heart of America, it's a great little town. It's maybe 2 or 3 blocks at the most. They have a killer diner, although the locals will argue that. They have a steak place. They have a winery. They have an ice cream place. I mean, it's small. It was a really neat experience. I'm really big into like history and sort of that great Americana feel, and it had that. And then it's when you wound up going to the hospital.
Yes, not the hospital, urgent care.
I went to urgent care
because the sting from the wasp was creeping. It looked like I was getting a staph infection. I was getting like streamers coming out of my arm, going up my arm and down my arm, these red streaks. And it was swollen and it was burning. And I was like, all right, we're going to have to do something about this. Yeah. So I go to the urgent care and he's like, well, the good news is we can fix you. So he gave me what I needed.
Well, couldn't fix you.
Thanks. So they could fix the bite. So they gave me what I needed. Yeah, they fixed the bite. But he told me that I had to be aware of the fact that I will now be developing an allergy to bees, and it may become anaphylactic at any time. Good news. This one had just found out he could not eat shellfish. So we had an EpiPen in the bike if we needed
Oh,
it.
that's right. Yes.
And Benadryl after the whole initial bite. Mm-hmm. So we were well prepared, which was good. And then we did our laundry.
Saw a huge car accident.
Yeah, that was bad. Everybody's like running. All you see were people running to the center of town. It was really interesting.
It was such
surreal.
I think the experience that I took away, or one of the things I took away from that, was how different the pandemic was handled.
Yes.
Because in Wellsboro, it was almost like it didn't exist, and they didn't really, it just was different. The world wasn't shut down the way it was when we experienced other places.
New Jersey was completely shut down. When we went to Pennsylvania and New York, there were still places that were open, like the restaurant in Albany. Woodstock was still open. Everything on Route 6, for the most part, was still open. I don't remember running into anything that was closed.
No. Central PA definitely dealt with the pandemic differently.
It wasn't until we got into New
Route
York.
6 was all chopped up. Remember how bad that ride was? It was brutal.
It was. So the second day in Wellsboro was the second day in Wellsboro.
The second or third, yeah.
Yes. We had a horseback riding excursion planned and scheduled.
I can say hands down that was the highlight of the trip. And I'll put a link to the place if you ever get to Central PA. I cannot recommend this place enough, and Katie will tell you why.
I like horseback riding. I come from Texas. I used to horseback ride on base. I was a military brat. We could rent out the horses. I got to have my Tom Cruise moment on a horse instead of a bike, because I would run up and down the flight path and all kinds of fun stuff with riding horses. So he's never been on a horse before. They put him on a cart horse, a working horse.
No, wait, back up.
Oh, no, we had to get there first.
There you go.
There was no signal.
Wait. So
none.
Hold on.
Our phones were dead. They were bricked.
I want to say the town was Coldport.
Yeah, something like that.
But if you're a history buff, there's an Elliott Ness Museum that's in town, and the hotel that's in town is where the screenplay for The Untouchables was written. So just kind of something random. We didn't know. We didn't stop there.
Both were closed
we did find
at
out.
the time.
Yes.
Those two items were closed.
So go on.
So we have to be there in the morning-ish, early afternoon, and we have no GPS. The GPS.
We had GPS. We didn't have phone.
Didn't have a phone. Sorry, that's right. The GPS on the bike on that bike.
And that's
different.
if you ride a lot, something we found out. Baked in GPS is a God saver, because everyone thinks, and now you can with the Apple phones, you can download the maps, but this is pre that. So we had no cell service. We only had the GPS, and as we're riding down the road, what happens?
The road disappeared. It went from a paved road to gravel. And I
don't even think it was that. I think it was just dirt.
It was like pea gravel. It was small gravel. There was some compacted dirt. It was a well-loved trail.
And that was what, like 12 miles?
It was 12 miles of this. And we're sitting...
And we get there. The GPS tells us that we're there. We're in the middle of nowhere. There's this house. It's like something out of Deliverance. And Kate's like, well, we don't have cell service.
We can't call the person.
Yeah, so let's just keep going. So, I mean, at that point, we didn't die. What's the difference? So we went, like a half mile, crested up the road. Mm-hmm. We saw the horse place. We pull over,
And then the little four-wheeler comes down the mountain. It's just like, you should have just called us and we would have picked you up. We had no cell service.
But the best part of that is, as she's riding the gator and she comes up, she's looking at the bike, she's looking at the road, she's looking at us, she's looking at the bike, and she goes, "You rode all the way down here on that bike?" And I'm like, "Yep." Meanwhile, like, we're covered in dirt. The bike's covered completely in dirt. And she's like, you could have called. I'm like, that would have been great to know like an hour ago.
Yeah.
Because apparently they'll come get you because they've had this issue before.
But we had a great experience. We got to play with some kittens in the barn. He got to ride for the first time.
Yeah.
And they put him on not a Clydesdale. It was a draft horse, though. It was
a big mofo of a horse.
It was a big mofo. I had a quarter horse. We had a very nice ride. It was a sheer cliff on the left side for most of that ride. We had to push the branches out of our way and tell the person behind us to watch out because it was incoming. Whap.
Yeah, it's on the edge of a state park. You ride through a state park. I don't know, and like I said, I can put it in the description. But I did find out if you're going up a hill, you shouldn't lean over on a horse.
Oh, because yes.
Is it the pommel they call it?
The pommel caught your solar plexus.
I took it dead square in the solar plexus and lost all the air in my lungs.
Yes, you did. You're just like,
But I have to say I was a little frustrated because we had to take those 2 days of downtime to do that. And that turned out to be like one of the absolute highlights of the trip.
And he was complaining the whole time. He's like, I don't know why you had to go and schedule this. This was not a good idea. This was not the best thing to do in the middle of this ride. We really shouldn't have done this. I was adamant. I was like, we've scheduled it. It's paid for. We're doing it.
And then we stopped at that, and then the girl that was doing the ride gave us that really good recommendation for that restaurant that was fantastic.
Yes.
Again, the coolest part, and I've always been told this, is it's not about going to like the local tourist place. It's you ask the locals, where would you go to eat? Because they're going to give you the best places. So we wound up at this bar and grill that had fantastic food.
Oh my gosh, yes. And just as a shameless plug, nobody's promoting this or anything, but shameless plug, if you ever decide that you want to do multiple things, Wellsboro is a great place. Canyon Motel is a fantastic motel. It's a great place to branch off of. So right around there, they have the Cherry Springs. What is that? It's
Stargazing Park.
Stargazing Park. We didn't do that, but we're planning on taking the boys. They have the horseback riding. They have the Kenzua Bridge. They have the hotel and the Alien Nest Museum. They have a lot of stuff within an hour.
They have the Zippo Museum. They have the Lumber Museum. There's a lot of it's different.
It's family friendly. It's really family friendly. They have a 2 movie theater in Wellsboro. They have it's very eclectic, and it's a nice central location that you can base yourself out of and just kind of do a few things here and there.
Yeah.
But having said that, after the ride and doing the
they also have a Harley
Bridge,
dealership in right out of town. So if you need your bike service, you need parts. It was kind of convenient too.
Oh, something that we forgot to mention. The reason that we wanted the Harley infrastructure, girls, you'll understand this.
Jesus.
The bathrooms in the Harley Davidson dealerships are 99% always clean. That's big. When you're on the road and you have to go to the bathroom, you need a rest. Clean bathrooms are important.
I forgot about that.
And I carry a bottle of Lysol with me to clean if I need to, because I just can't be in a dirty bathroom, which is part of the reason why we went with Harley Davidson, because then I didn't feel so awkward.
So
going
what you're
to
telling women is get their husband to send $36,000 for the bathroom experience.
For the bathroom experience.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
New York is the only place I've ever been that had a horrible bathroom. And that was New York City, not New York State.
All right, rein it back in.
Reining back in.
Still on the trip.
Still on the trip. So now we've done the Kenzua, we've done the horseback riding.
So the Kenzua Bridge, if you've never done it, is a bridge that was hit by a tornado.
A railroad track bridge.
Yes, a railroad track bridge. And you can walk out. They made an observation tower. Really cool trip. Really cool experience. It's free. It's a state park. So check it out. Then we
continued on Route 6.
We continued Route 6 and we went to Erie.
No, we forgot Flickerwood.
Oh.
So.
Hell yeah.
Neither one of us are social butterflies as a rule, but we can turn it on when
we
want
wouldn't
to.
know from this, but
you wouldn't know from this. We went to Flickerwood.
I think it's the most I've ever seen you talk.
It was empty. We walked in. We're doing.
But explain what Flickerwood is.
It is a winery.
Flickerwood's a winery that when I did
6.
my Route 6 ride before, I stopped at. Really good wine, really good people. They have a sister tasting location, I think in Chadsford. But so we went to the actual winery.
We went in. It was completely empty. But we found somebody there. She helped us out. And then suddenly, it was like everybody got the same idea to go to this winery, and it filled up.
Yeah.
And we ended up sitting at a table. We ended up sharing our table with another couple, a very young couple. They were local.
They rode.
And and we had we spent hours there. And the people at the we closed the, well, we didn't close
Well,
the
we
place,
didn't
but we were
close
the
it, but
last,
yeah,
we were the
we're
last couple
left at that point. Yeah.
And they were like, what happened to the other couple you were with? And we were like, well, they went home. And they thought they were with us. And we were like, no, we met them here. We were carrying on. We were all of the tables. It was a lot of fun. That was a fantastic
that was a really good ride.
experience.
Yeah. So, and that's in Kane, Pennsylvania. So you're going west and you're still on Route 6. So basically you can get on Route 6 at the start of Route 6 is in the top, and it's basically the top of PA is New Jersey, and it goes all the way out to Ohio. So we left Kane. I'm trying to think where Kane is geographically. It's pretty far out west. And
I
then
think we hit Buffalo from there. Was it Erie or I don't think
we hit Erie.
We hit Erie, and it rained.
Yes, we hit that. We had that. We found that little. The one thing that we always do on the road, and it's always been something that I guess when I started riding and do, if we're riding, we try and stay out of chains. It's always been like it's like kind of the soft rule. Unless we can't find it, we always try and find a local place. We don't like chains on the road.
Yes.
So we found
except for hotels.
Yes. Because if it's not an 8 or above on hotels.com, Kate won't stay there.
I don't. And there's good reason for that.
So if you're a hotel chain and you're watching this, we'd love a sponsorship because Dave over here won't stay anywhere cheap. But
and I do love to give likes and reviews. Yeah. But I'm brutally honest, so no mouse traps.
So we stayed in Erie. We didn't really do a whole lot in Erie.
No, it was
we
raining.
Wanted to see the Great
laundry.
Lakes, and we just kind of moved.
Yeah, we
oh
did laundry.
no! You're thinking about yes. So we went to Erie. We stayed. And then we went to Buffalo and we stayed at the Aloft because that's our favorite hotel chain right by the airport in Buffalo.
Yes, that's where we stayed.
And they had a Tim Hortons, and again there was nothing around. We got in a huge fight because Katie ordered sushi for $900 at some delivery.
Yes, don't stay around airports. They just don't have any amenities like restaurants. So,
and we ran into the same thing. We went to.
We forgot the Syracuse. I was born in Syracuse, New York. I don't remember any of that because then we moved to McGuire and then out west very shortly after that. But I'd never been to Syracuse that I could remember. So we decided to stop in Syracuse. And we had a nice lunch. And then we continued on to Buffalo.
So the Aloft Hotels is one of my favorite hotel chains. I used to go there a lot for business. So we were using the booking app for hotels.com, and we were like, okay, we're going to stay here so we could pre-plan it. And we found out that if you find a room that has a jacuzzi, it's really good if you're on the road.
Yes.
So we stayed at the Aloft. It was an app. We knew the rainstorm was coming, so we wanted to stay somewhere nice, and we found some restaurants. I knew the Aloft had at least pre-COVID, they always had a nice little restaurant. It was bar food, it was tapas, but we figured it'd be a good place to stop. So we stopped there. It was an absolute monster of a storm.
Yes. Lots of rain. The
location that we thought we were going to be able to eat at wasn't open because, why would it be? So we wound up, that was a laundry. And I'll tell you the one thing that we've learned that was really cool is if you take a down day to do laundry and stuff, it was actually cool because obviously on the bike you can't carry everything. So we were able to just sort of plan that stop. Mm-hmm. That's when the lady hooked us up with all the fabric softener and everything.
Yes.
And we bought out the Aloft has alcohol, at least that one did, in food. And we basically just bought the place out.
We bought our Cutwaters.
Yeah, that was an event. So we stayed at the Aloft, and then we went to Buffalo. Then we went to Niagara. Remember, all we wanted to do was go to the Harley Davidson, Niagara Falls Harley Davidson, or whatever it's called.
Closed.
No, it was open. But remember, it was this little hole in the wall place.
Yes, sorry.
And somewhere along the lines around there is where we got your jacket because it got so hot. So we went.
But I needed something to stop the bugs.
Yeah. Because she didn't mind spending money.
I never mind spending money.
So we left Buffalo. We wound up where? Where did we go? Where was the big stop at the end?
We went to Niagara. There was nobody there. It was a ghost town. We were able to get a $65 room at the hotel that is closest to the falls.
You could almost see the mist from the falls. That's how close we were. We stayed at, it was a Wyndham. Mm-hmm. We stayed there. There's a casino or something in town. We were actually walking down the middle of the street and there was no traffic. It was like the coolest experience. So we did the Maid of the Mist.
Yes.
We did the Cavern.
Yes.
The Cavern of Winds or something.
Cavern of Winds. Yep. Something like that.
The Maid of the Mist, especially if you wear glasses, is a waste of money.
Yeah, it's a waste.
But we got to do it. We got to make some content and video out of it and have that experience. The Cavern had to be by far the best experience. So the Cavern you're walking through like this decking material and you're walking around the falls and around
actually, the base and then up.
Yes.
And then back to the caverns and
it takes you down you go down this elevator and it takes you at river level of the falls. And you're walking around and at one point, and I have a great picture from it, you can actually go up to this part of the walkway and you're actually catching just a little bit of the falls that hits and you can actually lean into it. So you actually can be under Niagara Falls.
Yes. See the link in the for that video. Well, is there a way to swing it in? So yeah, we'll try to swing it in so that you can go see that video. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, and that was the
But the aftermath of that, we get home.
Well, we're walking out of the thing, and people are walking by us, looking at me because we're just like I've got water just pouring out of my boots at this point because I was under the falls.
His only pair of boots. Of shoes at all. Only pair of shoes, yes.
So that may have been a mistake.
And we get to the hotel, and our only option to dry his shoes is to stuff a hairdryer into the shoe. Yeah.
So
it worked. It worked.
Nothing's open other than the restaurant in the hotel.
Yes.
So I've got no shoes on. I don't know if we're going to get into the restaurant.
He's hiding behind me.
All I've got is socks on. Luckily, there were black socks. It didn't give it away too quick. I'm like, you go tell him we need a table. We kind of just shushed into the table. But
it was a fantastic restaurant. We went there twice while we were there.
Yeah, that food was great. It was really nice, too, to see that they kept that open.
Yeah, because there was nothing else available. At that point, the restaurants in New York had really started to close down.
Yeah, at that point, it was getting towards the end of September.
Yes. And they were really locking things down in preparation for flu season, and they didn't know what was going to happen.
And that was the highlight. I wouldn't say it was the highlight of the trip, but that was certainly had most of the memories of that trip.
Yes. Yes.
And we actually got to go to the park. Several places in the park that overlook it. And there was the one that was on the peninsula. Remember that?
Yes.
Where the falls kind of the American and the Canadian falls meet. So that was, for all intents and purposes, that was the end of the trip.
Yes. So obviously we had to ride home, but we did it pretty straight away. We cut through New York. We didn't go back down the way we came and across New York.
No, it was pretty much a turn and burn at that point.
Yeah, it was a turn and burn at that point. And then that was the biggest trip we did. We never needed the rain gear.
Wow, no. Hold up. We forgot the big story. What was the biggest ride that we had taken single day before that? Remember, it was the first...
No, that was in preparation for Kentucky.
Was it?
Yes.
Okay, so we...
that was at the end of COVID, and that was in preparation for Kentucky.
We were going to go to Kentucky for the 5... No, it wasn't. Because the 5 Dirty Bikers meetup got canceled at the beginning of COVID.
But it was something else that you were going to do in Kentucky. Or Tennessee. Maybe it was the Tail of the Dragon. You were going to do it with somebody.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But so Knucklehead over here got the idea that we should go to lunch in Pittsburgh.
Yes. 732 miles in a day.
Just
for lunch.
We took the limited. We went out to Pittsburgh for lunch, and that's when I decided that the GT version of the Harley Davidson GPS needed to die. We needed to get the CarPlay version.
Oh, that's right, because it crashed, didn't it, on that trip?
Well, it crashed.
And then if anybody's
it can't handle the topography of bridges going over it. It was a mess.
Pittsburgh is a hot mess. I don't know what the hell they were thinking of when they planned this city. It's like a braid. All of the roads converge, and it's braided right in the center of everything.
So,
anywho,
We did that. We did that. That was our longest. That was our longest ride that we had done single period, right? 730 miles.
Still my longest ride.
Yeah.
Because shortly thereafter, I started having some issues, and I haven't been able to ride as much.
Yeah, and that's when we had the hammock, and the hammock seat was we've gone through a lot of seats.
Yes.
Shout out to Mustang though. That Mustang Super Deluxe Touring seat was worth every penny we paid for it.
Yes, it was. And we tried. What was the one that we tried at the Harley dealership that we didn't even get out of the
Saddleman road sofa that we didn't. Well, in all fairness to Saddleman though, that was literally a brand new seat that they gave us to try, and that was brutal. But regardless, so we did the
seats are important.
Yeah. Well, I think all the upgrades that we've made are important. But we took that trip in a day. That was a blast. And again, it was one of those COVID. We're stuck in the house. Like, what are we going to do with our time trip?
Yes.
And then,
Fuel and Fuddle was the name of the restaurant that we went to. Very good. Very good.
Case of foodie. So we went there, and then I'm trying to think, how long was it after that?
We've done a lot of rides. We've been to York. We've done like more local stuff because I haven't been able to do that kind of a distance since. But we've done within 200 mile, 250 miles.
We do like longer day rides. Better. And then in the spring of, it was like June-ish of 2022, we bought my dream bike. We bought a Road Glide that, as I said earlier, has always been my dream bike. I've always wanted one. Another decision that almost ended our marriage.
that one was my fault, though.
Yeah, well, at least you're admitting it to the public.
He had a bike picked out, and I don't know what I did, but I burst the bubble on it, and he was really upset because I couldn't just give him the win. But then that night, while we're fighting, I found Dracarys.
So what we had found out, and I didn't realize this was even a thing because we had bought our bike at Barb's, certain dealerships with their insurance, what have you, they will not let you test ride a bike 2-up, which I don't quite understand how you're going to drop that kind of money on a full-blown touring bike. But so I talked to the dealership that we have found Dracarys at, the 2020 Road Glide that we have now. And the guy's like, no, you can't. So, and understandably, if you've never ridden both, so we've had the luxury of having both the Road Glide and the Limited. I was explaining to Kate, the only difference for the Road Glide is the front. For the rider experience, it's completely different. But anyway, we're heckling back and forth about this. So,
and mind you, this is after we had the whole seat debacle and test ride of the Limited.
Correct.
So I had my druthers, my panties were in a twist that we're not going to shell out however much money without test riding the damn bike first, because we learned our lesson with the other bike that it needed to be test rode. You need to make sure that the seat's what it is and whatever. I just had my panties in a twist.
So we wound up buying that bike at Garden State Harley Davidson. So that was a good hour and a half, 2 hours away?
On the Garden State Parkway again.
We have issues with the Garden State. So we went there. So we had put a deposit on the bike, which kind of took our negotiation skill. Well, we still got a good deal. We got an even better deal than we thought.
Yes. At the end of the day, that bike was loaded more than we were expecting. So
we wound up going to Barb's again. They had an exact 2020 Road Glide. And
stock.
They were nice enough to let us take that out. It was a fully stocked bike. We took it out. Granted, Barb's kind of sucks in their test ride.
Yes.
You can only take it for, I think it's an escorted test ride. It's like
around the block,
maybe 4 miles. You really didn't have a chance to open it up, but it didn't matter. It was a stock bike. We took it out. Katie's like, all right, I don't think it's your exact words, but she's like, all right, I was a knucklehead. It's, from my perspective, it's the same bike. So we went up to Garden State. We saw the bike in person. The bike wasn't quite in the shape that we expected it to be.
And we had already been told that there were some issues because your friend had gone to that.
Yeah. So my buddy Bob actually, when he knew I was looking at Road Glide,
Hi,
Bob sent me a message with a picture of Jakar's and said, I found your bike. And I wrote back, I'm like, well, believe it or not, some asshole already put a deposit on it, and that asshole's me, which he thought was really funny. But he's like, it's got some things in it. The exhaust was beat up. The fairing,
because it's salt water.
Yeah, the fairing. It was a shore bike. But anyway, we went up buying the bike the day before your birthday. So it was really cool. They had the hotel behind it.
I got an upgraded shirt again.
They sent you they sent us to, they gave us a recommendation of a fantastic steakhouse again.
Yes. Oh, yes. That was a good
I think it was Chris
steakhouse.
was our sales guy, and Bobby's the owner. So big shout out to you guys for hooking us up. So we went out to dinner for Katie's birthday. We came back. We met Bobby, the owner. Mm-hmm. We bought the bike. No, sorry. So backtrack. So that night we're signing the paperwork. The dealership's closing.
Yes. And I had raced up there after work so that I could be in on the signatures and all that.
And they didn't really give us any information about the bike. Obviously, you could see it had a 2-in-1. It had 14-inch bars. But when I took the bike out, I was like, this bike feels different. But I couldn't remember the last time I rode a man-made. I was like, something's different. Something's like, this bike's got a lot of power. Anyway, so we're signing the paperwork. Long story short, the guy gives us the service records. We find out it's a full stage 2 bike that they've done quite a bit of work to. And it was moderately a stage 2 is what we wanted.
Yes.
So it had good performance, had a lot more performance than we would expect from stock. So we wound up buying the bike, brought it home. September was our first bike rally. We went down with Bert and George from Baggers and Brews. Big shout out, guys. And Colin Bronco Ride.
Yes.
We that was probably our first and last rally.
Yes. Well, I mean, you can do whatever you want, but that was not my cup of tea.
And we got to meet Chris from Chromeworks. Great dude, Chris, if you're watching. Thank you. Chris helped us locate. We have a 2-in-2 Chromeworks system with we have a full Chromeworks exhaust system, and they were really helpful in helping us locate one for the bike because we wanted to have it put on before. Anyway, but huge thank you to those guys for helping. And that was the first time I've ever been recognized in public from the channel, and the first and only time. Well, at least organically, not at an event. Yes. And
it was a lot of fun, that event. It was a lot of peopling.
Wow. End of the day, anytime you get to hang out with the Baggers and Brews guys, it's a good time.
Yes.
Because
as long
Bert's
as there's no tequila involved.
Yeah. DeBeard and Katie have sort of a love-hate. Throw a water bottle at your head when you're... It's a long story. So
well, at least I wasn't arguing with the cat that time.
No. And we... so we came back from Ocean City. We got to hang out with our buddy Mike. That was a good time. Mm-hmm. And that was a big experience, right? We've put a lot of energy and effort and mods into that bike.
Yes.
Huge thank out to the people that support our channel. Avan Black, Custom Dynamics have basically Clearview, Clearview windshields. They had put a lot of. I'm very fortunate with the channel that these companies have supported us and really made the bike be what we were hoping it to be, and still more stuff coming to that. So I think that really wraps up the ride experience. But what is the big announcement that you've been sitting on that you want to tell everybody about?
We are starting our own podcast.
We are. So why are we doing that?
Because we're just a glutton for punishment. We can't get enough of each other.
No, it's something that
we've talked about for a couple of years now.
Yeah. So we have this thing, you've seen it in the live stream, my office that I work at. We always have these office conversations, and we sit and we wax philosophically, and sometimes we're inebriated when it happens at some level. But we always have these big conversations, and we talk about things. And
we have solved world peace multiple times over.
And doing that, it's something that we wanted to find something to do. Like Katie said, she hasn't been able to spend a lot of time on the bike. I've had some health issues, which kind of took away from riding probably the last 2 years. And it's something we've talked about, and we thought it would be a good thing. As much as I love you guys and the huge thank you to the motorcycle community for supporting this channel. And this channel is going to still continue. But I really wanted to branch out, and I wanted to do something a little different.
passion project.
Yeah. I mean, you guys know in the motorcycle community, especially as a creator, the space is this big. It's 2% of people, I think, in the world that ride motorcycles. And then YouTube's a smaller niche of that. And we wanted to do something that sort of was more this, right? It was more the banter. It's going to be what? I mean, it's going to be a little bit of everything. We've got what? Like,
if you've ever seen the movie He Said, She Said with Gerard Butler and Katherine Heigl, it's very much like that, except without the conflict and without the,
well, don't sell it short. We're probably going to throw things at people.
We're not going to throw things at each other, though. You're not going to get a coffee cup to the head.
That's the beer's job.
But it's going to be, couple stuff, like our relationship and how we how we communicate. And sometimes we'll talk about music and the differences. He's not significantly older than me, but
Jesus,
you're another generation. You're a whole 10 years. Like,
I'm 6 years.
Yes, but that equates to you being an 80s
you
child.
Can see where this is going to go.
I'm a 90s child.
But we really wanted to, I personally want, something I've always wanted to do. If you've seen these before with the Beyond the Rider series, I loved it. I've gotten to meet so many great people and people that are still friends of mine, people that, I can call and text at a moment's notice. But I wanted to bring that concept to something further. I have a journalism background. It's something that I've really enjoyed.
Something bigger.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of like the Sean Ryan show. And I wanted to be able to open it up to top couples and conversations that go beyond
family,
motorcycles. Yeah, it's just going to be
men,
mental health.
It's going to be, it's everything. It's everything. Everything and nothing.
So we're going to continue this channel, but we are going to branch off, and we're hoping to have an episode of that out. Probably, we're hoping by the end of January, and that's really realistic because we're recording this, the first, second week of January.
Yes.
So we have some time to do that.
Yes.
But so we're going to be on that channel. Where would they find us on that channel?
Oh,
see, she has to think too.
I just went blank. Oddly, hold on.
Curiosity.
No, it's not curiosity. You keep thinking it's curiosity. Oddly relatable. Oddly relatable with Brian, with Kate and Brian as your hosts. And hopefully it'll, it's going to be funny. Because not for nothing, most people, when they meet me outside of my house, I'm a different person. I'm not usually I'm pretty reserved.
I think
I'm not a people person. And
well, I don't think either one of us is. And that's the thing that's always struck me funny with the channel is people will meet us in person, like when we've done the back and forth, like, oh my God, we love your channel, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, hey, that's cool. And I don't mean it disrespectfully. We're just not... We're very introverted people, and that's where the channels kind of helped us come out and do this kind of thing. And then when we thought about the podcast, we thought it'd be really cool. It was a chance for us to spend time together as a couple. Right.
But also for people to understand, like they don't get it. They don't. A lot of people look at us and they're just like, what the hell? You're so different. I'm an artsy fartsy, like to stay home and whatever. And I'm all about she stuff, and I'm a foodie, and he's he's a guy, and he's on the bike, and he's okay with a motel, no-tell, and he's not a foodie, even though he thinks he is.
I've become a good chef.
You have become, yes, but
reining it back in. So this is going to be an experience that's going to be really different. Something that I'm really excited about. It's going to be a chance for us to have something separate and kind of explore from a creator side the outside the motorcycle sphere. And obviously there's going to be still motorcycle talk and stuff, but it's really going to be rarely. It's really going to be about us, the struggles that we faced, my passion for men's mental health and mental health in general, and things that we're really going to be opening it up. This is going to be our studio for the show. We got to do something with the background.
We're doing some stuff, but this is,
this is going to be sort of the preview of the format.
Yeah.
But we're really excited. That's going to be starting, like I said, in the end of January. And we're excited. I think it's going to be it's going to be something really good that we can do together.
Yeah.
And something that we're really excited. We've probably mapped out more episodes than we'll ever get to, but
I think we can whip them out. We were good at talking with each other.
You think?
Yeah.
We've only been doing this for an hour and 28 minutes. You sure?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like that long.
No, it's good.
We should probably wrap it up though.
Yeah. So like I said, we're really excited to take you guys in this new venture. I understand that a lot of you have joined this channel and watched this channel, subscribe because of the motorcycle content. And I know some of you have become, emotionally attached to the channel, people that I interact with. So we're hoping you'll join us on this journey, but it's going to be a very different side of us, but still it's going to be this. It's going to be something that's going to allow us to do. So you're going to be able to see a side of us that's very different than what you're normally used to seeing.
Yes.
And a lot more unfiltered and fun.
Yes.
But,
and you're going to be able to see what the hell goes on in our minds. Because let's face it, they're like the black hole of ideas.
But yeah, so we're really excited to do that. It's and I appreciate you doing this along with me. I know this is going to be quite the adventure.
It's going to be fun.
We've already spent enough time in this, but yeah. So we have a new channel coming. I'll put a link in the description on that. There is some stuff up there now. You can go ahead and check it out and subscribe. Like I said, we are coming. We're aiming for the end of January. We're super excited about the experience.
Oddly relatable.
It's oddly relatable with your hosts, Kate and Brian. But it's going to be something that we're very passionate about. And like I said, we'd really hope that you would join along with that adventure. So if you would, consider subscribing and be there for the first episode when it drops, because it will be on YouTube. It'll be available on all podcast platforms. That'll be fun in itself. And like I said, we're really excited. We'd hope you join us. And again, that doesn't mean that the motorcycle content's going away, because it won't. It's just an opportunity for us to branch out and do something that's a passion project. Yes. So anything else you want to add before we wrap it up?
No.
Awesome.
I think we're good.
You did good.
Yeah.
You hung in there. You held your own.
We managed to figure out what to do with the cats. That was our biggest concern, is this format and what's going to happen when the cats get on the table.
So we don't have a P.O. box. Do not send us any more cats. But
the cat distribution center already loves us. Our system, sorry.
So we're going to put a link in the description to follow along in the new channel. I hope you've enjoyed this. This has been something I've always wanted to do, is to sit down and do this with Katie. This episode as a couple of us riding. Huge thank you again to Flannel Go for providing us with these flannels. We love them. Hopefully you'll see these more of these on not only this channel, but our other channel as well. And they do make pet beds, so maybe we can hook the cats.
Stuff. Yeah,
we could turn the cats into influencers.
Oh, geez, no,
but they do. They make men's and women's clothing. They make pants. They make flannels, jackets, and bedding product. They make all kinds. Just check it out. Anyway, but thank you so much for coming along on this journey and watching this episode. And we will see you when we see you. Hope to see you on the other channel. And as always, please remember,
you're not alone.
Thanks for watching, everybody.